Laos, more specifically, the Lao People's Democratic Republic, also known as the Land of a Million Elephants. It is not the most frequented destination in Southeast Asia, despite a steady increase in the number of foreign visitors in recent years, excluding the COVID period. In 2022, Thailand was far ahead with 25 million tourists, followed by Vietnam with 13 million, then Cambodia with 7 million, while Laos only counted 3.5 million. It is true that the country is landlocked, without access to the sea, unlike its neighbors, including Myanmar, which is still mired in a terrible civil war to this day, and it doesn't have sights as spectacular as Angkor and its temples, Bagan and its thousands of pagodas, nor the Halong Bay, or the beautiful beaches and islands like in Thailand. However, when traveling through the country, one discovers breathtaking and untouched landscapes, many primary forests, some of the most beautiful waterfalls in Asia, an incredible diversity of ethnic groups, between 65 and 130 according to estimates, and above all, a tranquility, authenticity, and serenity nearly lost in neighboring countries. For our 5th trip to Laos, we set ourselves a double goal: to attend the Luang Prabang Festival of Lights, and to undertake a large loop through the Boloven Plateau and Khammouane, meeting the Alak and Katu minorities. To get from the capital, Vientiane, to the Botan border post, it now only takes 3 hours, thanks to the high-speed train that has been operational since 2021. It was built by the Chinese to develop new Silk Road routes to their country and, in a few years, to connect the city of Kunming in China to Singapore. Currently, the line has 10 stations between Vientiane and Botan, but eventually, there will be 33. Vieng, a small town of 20,000 inhabitants located on the banks of the Nam Song River, halfway between Vientiane and Luang Prabang, is in itself a microcosm of the beauty of Laos. Lush forests, blue lagoons, flooded rice fields, verdant hills, and karst mountains. A first stop for 3 days, during which we rent scooters, an ideal mode of transport, with the sole purpose of immersing ourselves in this peaceful way of life, getting lost in the countryside. The hot air balloon flights in Vang Vieng, whether at sunrise or sunset, are an exceptional experience. You discover from a different angle the dimension and the fantastic beauty of this region. Nestled between the Mekong River and the Nam Khan River, Luang Prabang, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is an unmissable destination where the charm of French colonial architecture blends with the incredible beauty of its natural surroundings. You'll encounter monks in saffron robes in front of its 33 beautifully gilded temples, including Wat Gieng Thong, meaning Temple of the City of Gold, the most beautiful and elegant in Laos. It is a true architectural gem dating back to the 16th century, consisting of a large number of richly crafted pavilions. Inside, you'll discover the stunning mosaic representing the Tree of Life, a symbolic link between the earthly world and the celestial universe. The beauty of Wat Gieng Thong lies in the art that adorns the sanctuary's walls. These murals reflect the genius of Lao artisans, who have skillfully combined traditional architectural techniques, wood carving and fine gold bands, with modern ones, glass mosaics introduced in the last century. This temple is not only a sacred place of worship, but also a major cultural and spiritual center, deeply rooted in the history and identity of Luang Prabang. The Hong Kep Mien, a building with a magnificent golden facade, houses the funeral chariot of King Sisavang Vang. It is designed to transport the immense golden funeral urns of the royal family. 7 Naga serpents with red tongues flank the shimmering chariot, which holds the king's funeral urn. The monks are busy preparing for the Light Boat Festival, or Festival of Lights, which will be celebrated in and in front of all the temples in Luang Prabang and along the Mekong River. The young girls and boys, representatives of different ethnic minorities, have donned their traditional attire. Offerings are also being prepared in the temples. The rites and ceremonies begin, as they do every day, around 6 p.m. Night falls over the city. The monks prepare for a long night of vigil and celebrations. The temples gradually light up as the monks light the thousands of candles, lanterns, and oil lamps that will illuminate Luang Prabang. A Buddhist ceremony between monks and novices is taking place at the Wat Sayen Temple. The serenity around the monasteries contrasts with the hustle and excitement that begin to take over the growing crowd in the streets of the city. Another celebration takes place in a nearby temple where worshippers gather. Outside, the flower beds are being illuminated everywhere. The Luang Prabang Festival of Lights celebrates the end of the rainy season and the return of Buddha to earth. It also coincides with the end of the Buddhist Lent. The beating of drums signals the start of the procession. As night falls, on the night of the full moon, the parade begins along the main avenue of Luang Prabang. About 20 large, colorful, and illuminated boats, each made by a village during the week leading up to the festival. Each village competes with ingenuity and must show its pride, as a final vote will conclude the festival. The boats are made of bamboo structures and colored paper. The monks also make two. One will be displayed in front of the temple, and the other will be launched onto the river with the others. Families also make or buy a floating item, such as a small boat or oil lamp, made from tree trunks and palm leaves, bamboo, and saye paper, a local paper made from mulberry bark, in all colors. The first illuminated boats are brought to the banks of the Mekong River. The crowd is so large that moving through it in any direction becomes nearly impossible. Some of the very elaborate and incredibly illuminated boats carry oil lamps and display banknotes and various offerings that children from villages downstream will be able to collect. They are sometimes of remarkable length. One in the shape of a naga, serpent, is more than 10 meters long. Three-headed hydras, dragons, and other mythical creatures cross the city, flanked by a monumental crowd of festival-goers and tourists who sing, dance, and drink, sometimes without limit, in a joyful chaos and a musical clamor lasting over 3 hours. The procession ends at the feet of Wat Sieng Thong, the temple located at the tip of the peninsula. Wishes will be made as the boats are set afloat in homage to the Mekong River, which means mother of all things, along with thousands of other floating objects of all kinds that will travel with the currents. Undoubtedly, the most beautiful festival in Laos. "30 kilometers from Luang Prabang, about an hour's ride for us on roads of questionable quality, we arrive early in the morning at the Quang Si site. It's not only a natural wonder, but also a sanctuary and a rescue center for Asian black bears. About 40 of them live freely there, safe from harm, happy survivors of a cruel trade. Many were captured and killed by trappers for the preparation of local food or the making of traditional medicines. The Quang Si waterfalls, one of the jewels of Laos's natural heritage, are a series of cascading waterfalls that create turquoise blue pools set in an idyllic landscape combining bamboo forests and lush jungle. Some might call it a paradise corner. The limestone basins reveal water of a striking turquoise color due to a high concentration of calcium carbonate. The largest of the Quang Si waterfalls drops 60 meters. The water then spills over into a second, and then a third waterfall, followed by a series of natural pools spread over several levels, which are popular swimming spots for thousands of visitors, though the excessive number of visitors sometimes detracts from the harmonious atmosphere, surrounded by lush vegetation. On the road between Quang Si and Luang Prabang, we inevitably pass by Wat Nazao Sukaram, a remarkably well-maintained monastery where replicas of the Kyaiktiyo Pagoda from Myanmar and the Mahabodhi Temple from India can be found. On the other side of the Mekong, after crossing the river by ferry, we find ourselves facing the heart of Luang Prabang. We then truly appreciate the beauty of the city and its surroundings. Still on our scooters for our third day, we pass through the very traditional village of Chiang Mayen, which has preserved all its features since the 14th century. It has several temples, including Wat Chom Pet at the top of the hill, which offers a panoramic view of the city and the river that nourishes the country. Fishing villages abound along the Mekong. The small monasteries, too, more or less in good condition, but always richly painted, with their relics and religious objects. Pakse, which means mouth of the river in Lao, the capital of the Champasak province and the third largest city in the country, located at the junction of the Zedong and Mekong rivers. The large golden Buddha, reportedly the tallest in Asia, watches over the city, taking on a coppery hue at sunset. Behind the great statue, we discover a small temple, Phu Salao, flanked by dozens of Buddhas aligned side by side. Here in the mountains, the machete is an essential tool, with every resident of the Boloven Plateau owning at least one. In the village of Hawaii, they still use a very traditional forge to make all sorts of tools, including these large knives that are indispensable for field work. The Boloven Plateau is located about 50 kilometers east of Pakse. Its name comes from the majority ethnic group that lives there, the Lavan. The two largest minorities of the Lavan group in the region are the Alak and the Katu. They live in scattered villages along the road, with between 10 to 60 stilted houses, most of which are built around a communal house, known as a samasan. Originally, their specific housing was identifiable by its construction using palm leaves and thatch arranged in a circle. But nowadays, these traditional houses are mostly built with wood and corrugated iron. The Katu people are skilled in the art of weaving, and many of them have been weavers for generations. It is a meticulous, long, and difficult job, carried out exclusively by women. However, this doesn't mean that men do not participate in the production. They build the looms and all the wooden components. They may also participate in auxiliary activities such as bobbin winding or dyeing. The loom is present in every family in Laos, even the most modest. The art of weaving is passed down from mother to daughter, along with the knowledge that comes with it. Fabrics are also important social markers. The clothes and their patterns indicate the age and status of the person wearing them, as well as their ethnicity. There are nearly 50 ethnic groups in Laos, most of which have their own traditional weaving styles. For example, among the Akas, the style and decoration of a woman's headdress indicates how much time has passed since she gave birth to a child. In the plateau, minorities mainly rely on agriculture. They cultivate a very famous coffee, both Robusta and Arabica, a white tea made from buds of semi-wild tea trees, pepper, and especially rice, which is the staple food. There are also rubber tree plantations for latex, cassava, corn, and bananas. In Saravane province, in the heart of the Boloven plateau, the Tad Lo and Tad Hang waterfalls are located. The first one cascades into a large natural pool, 6 meters below, in the middle of a primary forest. The second one ends at the foot of the Tadlo village, in a lush environment. We are here at the best time to admire the waterfalls. October marks the end of the rainy season. For the rest of the year, the waterfalls are fed with water through a system of sluices. We make a stop at the village for the night. The inhabitants of the plateau are animists, meaning they believe in spirits, protective deities, and a vital force that animates objects and natural elements, such as rocks, water, wind, etc. Some villages have a shaman. The shaman is the keeper of knowledge and performs ritual ceremonies to heal the sick and predict the future of the village. In Kandon, at the center of a large open space, stands the communal house, which symbolizes the unity and identity of the village, and also guards its spirit. It is beautifully decorated. The Katu are known in Laos for their annual buffalo sacrifice to honor the village spirit, but also for another unique custom. They carve wooden coffins for each household member long before the expected death. These coffins can sometimes be seen under houses or rice granaries. A small market has set up under the floor of a house, exclusively run by women, who wait for customers while smoking, sheltered from the rain. Basket weaving is a daily task reserved for men. They weave bamboo strips to create storage pots for seeds, various baskets, etc. On our way to Paksong. This small town is considered the coffee capital of Laos. The fertility of its volcanic soil, high altitude, and the region's consistent climate are factors that have contributed to the flourishing of coffee plants and beans. Many people say that here you can taste the best organic coffee in the world. The local market has maintained all its charm over the years. Spread over a large area, you can find a multitude of food products, vegetables, chicken, fish, as well as a wide selection of fruits. And you can also grab a quick bite with various skewers and other typical Laotian dishes, noodles, bowls of vegetables, etc., in a friendly atmosphere. The Katu villages are well organized, and the houses are perfectly designed, always centered around the communal house. You can appreciate their aesthetic as you gain elevation. Here, a vast rubber plantation produces natural rubber, latex. It is harvested through periodic tapping of the bark of the trees. In this village, all the women are weaving under their houses. More than half of the Laotian population lives below the poverty line. The infant mortality rate is quite high, as 6% of Laotian children die before the age of 5. This tragic reality is the result of poor hygiene, lack of personnel, and a shortage of medicines, which increases the risk of epidemics spreading. Laos still faces diseases such as polio and tetanus today. Another widespread issue in the country is the water pipe, called DUK, associated with the importance of tobacco cultivation. Men, women, and children, even at a very young age, all smoke the water pipe. The idea is to filter the smoke through water before inhaling it into the lungs. A Laotian saying goes, "Cigarettes cause tuberculosis, but the water pipe is good for the lungs." So, smokers believe that the smoke filtered through water is clean smoke. One of the most spectacular waterfalls on the Boloven Plateau, the Katamtok Falls. Hidden in the heart of the primary forest, they soar over 100 meters high. You can admire them in their entirety from the other side of the valley, along the road leading to the village of Sekong. The Wat Pho is a complex of temples from the 5th century, located in the Champasak province. The site was founded by the Khmers, a people of Cambodian origin who ruled the region between the 9th and 13th centuries, and it is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The ruins of Wat Pho bear witness to the influence of Hinduism and Buddhism in the region. It was a major religious and political center, as well as a crossroads for merchants and pilgrims. The north and south palaces were built at the foot of the hill, flanking the pathway leading to the main sanctuary. They served as residences for the temple's priests and dignitaries. The buildings are adorned with sculptures and bas-reliefs depicting Hindu deities and scenes of daily life. The Wat Pho Library is a small building near the main sanctuary. It housed sacred manuscripts and religious texts, reflecting the Khmer culture's emphasis on knowledge and education. Last stop on our tour through the mountains of southern Laos, the province of Khammouan, a region of wild beauty and unspoiled nature, where karst hills rise dramatically all around us. The area is dotted with caves, lakes, and lagoons. The massive Nam Thioun Dam, inaugurated in 2012, flooded a 50-kilometer-long valley and displaced 30,000 villagers. Everywhere, the ghostly silhouettes of submerged trees can be seen. One of Laos's geological wonders lies deep in the wilderness of Phu Hin Bun National Park, the Kong Lor Cave. To reach it, we cross a forest to the Hin Bun River. Our guide prepares a boat, half submerged and needing to be emptied of water, to ferry us to an islet, where we board a motorized canoe barefoot to navigate the cave. We set off on a 7.5-kilometer journey in pitch darkness. The flashlight provided barely illuminates anything. Initially, it feels slightly oppressive, but gradually, our senses sharpen, and we adapt to the absence of light. Our guide drops us on a lit beach surrounded by gigantic stalactites and stalagmites. A skillful play of light subtly highlights the rock formations. We spend about 20 minutes exploring the maze of rocks before returning to the canoe. The cave reaches heights of 100 meters and widths of up to 30 meters. After 30 minutes of navigation, we finally glimpse daylight, finding ourselves surrounded by lush jungle and towering limestone hills, a place that feels like a hidden paradise. Return journey to the capital, Vientiane. Work in the fields has been underway since dawn. The rock viewpoint of Kaungkum, in the northern part of Camoane province, is one of the region's hotspots. Here, you can glide through the air on zip lines between ancient karsts, soaring over deep valleys and sharp limestone ridges. You can climb cliff faces via a ferrata and walk over the void on Asia's largest spiderweb rope bridge. The landscape is an endless expanse of karst formations. Traveling in Laos feels timeless. It's an immersion in raw nature. Jungles, vast forests, lakes, waterfalls, and traditional villages. It's encountering a warm, smiling, and kind-hearted people. It's also discovering numerous minority groups who have preserved their cultures and ways of life. And while Laos is rapidly developing, notably with the introduction of the high-speed railway connecting Vientiane to the Chinese border, bringing waves of tourists whose behavior we won't comment on here, it remains an astonishingly authentic country. But for how much longer?